Hi, I'm Claire Ptak, and you're my Bakery Violet. I started Violet Bakery as a market stall in 2005 on Broadway Market. It was tiny. It was like a little tumbleweed down that street, but there was space for me. So I got in and I was just really excited to do something on my own. And then it took 5 years, but then I opened the bakery. And today I'm going to make you an all-American apple pie. One of my favorite recipes that my mom taught me how to bake, and I'm going to teach you. So for the filling for the apple pie, I use 6 to 8 medium apples. It's 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, 150 grams of caster sugar, 2 tablespoons of plain flour, a pinch of sea salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. For the pastry, you're going to need 375 grams of plain flour, 250 grams of unsalted butter, 4 tablespoons of iced water, and then 4 tablespoons of cider vinegar. These are an English apple, russet apple, and they're really tart and sweet at the same time, so there's a lot of character, and then the texture is really good for apple pie because you want it to not totally fall apart and become like applesauce inside. You want it to have some texture, but you don't want it to be too dry. So then when you put them in the bowl, I just kind of like spread them apart a little bit. I slice them pretty thin, you can see, because I think that's a nice thickness for them to cook at the right pace. What would otherwise go into the bin, I take the peel and the cores and I make a little sauce with that. And so I'm cooking it right now. I can show you. So this is the apple, it'll be like a glazy sauce, and it's extracting all the flavor from the peel and the cores, and the core also makes it thicken. So I usually do the sugar and the lemon juice first. And you want to do this before you've rolled your pastry out, so it gives it a chance to kind of sit and macerate. And what that does is the lemon and the sugar break down the apples a little bit so that they kind of let out moisture. And then it creates like this really nice emulsion, which is going to be like what they sort of cook in. And for pie, I like the pastry to be a little bit on the thicker side, because you want the slice to kind of hold its own. If I were making like a galette, I would want it to be really paper thin. It's also really important to let your pastry rest after you've made it. So you make it and then you want to put it in the fridge for at least an hour, just so that the flour absorbs all the moisture that you've incorporated into it. I'm going to dust off some of the flour on here because it's a little heavy on the flour. So it's great to have a brush like this, and these brushes, we get these at hardware stores. Obviously don't use it for dust and pastry. Put it in, you can have plenty of overhang and you can trim that off later. Better to have too much than too little. And then we're gonna put our filling in straight away. So make sure you get all that delicious liquor in there too, because that makes it really good. Don't be afraid to like pick your pastry up. That's also why it's nice for it to be roughly, it's like sort of 2 mil thick. And now I will trim it, and I'm going to cut it with the scissors. So then I take this and just turn it under, just barely. You basically want to seal it so that the whole filling is steaming inside. But then we're going to give it some little air vents from the top. My mom really cutely, she used to put like a letter for what the filling was. So an A on an apple pie, B on blackberry, that kind of thing. Okay, now we're going to glaze it. I take an egg and a bit of cream. If you don't have a pastry brush, you can just kind of use your hands. Like, if you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a wine bottle. Like, there's so many things that you can make do with, so don't stress or go buy a bunch of equipment. So I've egg washed it, put the caster sugar on top, and now I'm going to bake it. Our ovens run a little hot at the bakery, so it's 165 here, but you'll want to be 180 at home. Here we have all-American apple pie.